Hi, we're here with Adam Phillips. Adam Phillips is currently the assistant coach at Muskegon in the USHL. Adam's had an incredible experience so far in coaching. From my opinion, maybe he thinks differently. We're going to talk with him right now. First of all, congratulations. Great position. You're going to do well there. Just finished at Adrian. You just won a national title. How is it? How does it feel? You're in Lake Placid. You get to carry the championship. Can it be a better place to win a championship than there?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the congratulatory. I'm really excited to be in Muskegon, and yeah, last season at Adrian, it was something special. The group that we had there was extremely special, and it was a lot of fun to be in Lake Placid and to win it last year.
So did you get to smell the roses while you were there? Did you get to walk around Lake Placid at all and just absorb it all?
Yeah, I had been to Lake Placid a couple times when I was younger, playing in some of the youth tournaments that they have there. But it's changed a little bit. The rink now, there's a lot of renovations done to it, and it's a pretty cool place. As far as we got to walk around a little bit. We had a fun night after we won, but for the most part, we were pretty dialed in on getting the job done.
Still, it's got to be a fantastic feeling knowing all the ghosts that are in the walls of that place, huh?
Yeah, walking around that building and just the history that's there, it's pretty special.
I remember back in the day working USA hockey camps, and they used to do all the national stuff out of Lake Placid, which was phenomenal. Got to stay in the village, and while you're on the ice working with all these really good players, they're giving tours in the building, and they're playing the whole Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles clip on the top of the stadium so you could hear it on the ice. And talk about getting chills. Here you are on the ice working with USA hockey players, and you got the Al Michaels call going on in the background. That was pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible place, and to be able to win it there just makes it a little bit extra special. But it's a cool place for sure.
Okay, getting back to Adrian. Tell us a little bit about Adrian, how you got there, and what the experience was like.
Yeah, I had a relationship previously to me being at Adrian with Coach Krug, and when his former assistant was moving on, he gave me a call to see what my interest level may be, and went through the process with him. Obviously, ended up taking the job, and my 2 years there were fantastic. The administration there, Coach Krug, how he runs the program, the players that are there now, and the past players as well. It's a really special place, and I'm very grateful and fortunate for my time at Adrian.
So for people that don't know, Adrian is in Michigan. You're a Michigan guy. It sits about, 30, 40 minutes south of Ann Arbor. Am I
Yep,
roughly
just
in that
about
area?
that. Yep.
Sits in the middle of nowhere, but that once again, the school has made hockey one of its priorities as far as their sports go. Um, can you get closer to D1 as far as the way things are going? As far as I know, I've watched a few games there. As you know, my son went through recruiting there. Uh, that's a pretty special place to be as a student athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere. You drive through some back roads, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a beautiful campus. It's got an awesome rink. The facilities are great, and there's a lot of athletes that go to school there. But it's a really tight knit family feel on campus. Smaller school, but it's a really special place, and I don't think I've met anybody that didn't love their experience at Adrian. So again, very fortunate to have my 2 years there, and I'll be a Bulldog forever for sure.
So now let's juxtapose that to your experience right before that, because I know it was positive, but there's some bittersweet there with that whole process with your days in the North American Hockey League. You were with Odessa. How did you get to Odessa? And let's talk a little bit about your coaching time there.
Yeah, Odessa was great. I didn't know what to expect going out to West Texas, but I had a relationship with the coach there, and ended up taking the job after retiring from playing, and wasn't exactly sure how I was going to like coaching, but I loved it from day one.
So
Our
Adam,
group of guys that we had.
stop right there for a second. When you say you took the job there, when you were playing, you weren't setting up to coach. You kind of finished playing and thought, well, I'll give coaching a try. So it wasn't really like in the game plan to be a career coach yet?
I think I was still up in the air. I was doing some skill development stuff in the summers while I was still playing.
Okay.
And then when I decided I was on the fence to retire or not, and this opportunity came to get into coaching, so I jumped on it. And I'm glad that I did because the experience in Odessa was great. It was tough at times, but the group of kids that we had and just the positive attitudes that they had just to come to the rink every day and do their best to get better helped me as a coach and really it was a good experience looking back. It was definitely trying at times, but it was a fun year and gave me a lot of experiences moving forward.
You get the head coaching job halfway through the season of year two, or was it year one that you got the
Uh, just year one there,
year
yeah,
one? Okay, so
just the
year
one year
one,
in Odessa.
and right during this process, they start sending all the veteran players out because that's a tradition in the Null. If you're a veteran player on a last place team or not going to make the playoffs, they try to give the veterans that are in their last year a chance to move on and catch a ride somewhere that's going to make the playoffs. You stepped in right in the middle of all this. Where's your head at? The day they tell you got the ball, that's got to be a lot.
Yeah, it was. I loved it. I mean, it was. We'd faced the challenge head on, and my message was, hey, this is what's the situation that we're dealt with right now, but we got to respond to it. And my message was, we got to come to the rink every day and work to get better. We had 20-year-olds on our team that were still trying to get their college commitment. We took a lot of. There was a lot of hiccups, but it was the positive attitudes and the group that we did have. They faced the adversity really well, and it was tough on the staff, tough on the players, but I think we stuck together pretty well. And I know whether it was taking the players to the college ranks or later in life, I think the adversity that we went through and overcame, I think it'll help them in the long run and me as well.
Tell me a little bit about the fan base down there, because most of that fan base, I believe, transferred over from pro days and stayed with the team as they transferred into the Null.
Yeah, they're passionate fans for sure, and that city, like I said, I didn't know what to expect going down there, but the history of hockey they have from the old pro days, it's a great spot to play junior hockey and to call home. The passionate fans, we were struggling, but they continue to come out and support, and I know the players love that and the staff as well. So it's a cool place. Very very unique spot to be, but that whole division is really really good division and a lot of good cities. A lot of them in the old pro days, but the passion of the fans is probably what sticks out the most to me.
And what's the town most known for? Yeah, let's see if you got this one.
Definitely the oil.
Oil, but
Oh,
as far as TV or movies,
oh yeah, yeah, Friday Night Lights. Yeah, I think I was probably less than a mile from Permian High School, so
right?
that was pretty cool. And the stadium wasn't too far from that. Huge, big time stadium. So the high school football down there is pretty crazy to say the
Sick,
least.
sick to go watch a game down there. Did you get a chance to see a game while you were in
I
town?
I didn't. No, never did. Just usually there was a conflict with the Friday nights, but I
Got a
wish I
hockey
wish I did.
game.
But yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, it's a phenomenal area. Yeah, you pull into town, it's oil rig repair shop, oil rig sales store, oil rig transport store, oil rig trailer store. It's just miles and miles and miles of stores supporting the oil industry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice area though. I mean, there's some really our billets were awesome. Some really nice billet houses. There's Midland, Texas, which isn't too far from Odessa, where some of our billets were, and that's a bigger city, and there's a lot of nice areas. So it's like I said, I didn't know what to expect, but it definitely exceeded my expectations, and is a great place to call home for the year.
Okay, let's back up a little bit from there. Then we're going to go all the way back now. We're going to go back to your Detroit days. You're a Farmington Hills guy. You grew up and you're the typical Detroit hockey player in the sense. Now, not your skill level, because obviously that was much more than typical, but Detroit players can't seem to find one place to ever stay. Across the board, it's like lemmings. That is always that going on. And even today, recruiting that, I see that. What was your experience? I know you were 3-4 programs going through your youth experience.
Yeah, yeah. I was one of those guys that played for I think almost every organization growing up. But I don't know, some situations where a lot of the team moves because a coach is moving organizations or whatever it was. But it was a good experience just to meet some new teammates and to go through the ranks playing for a few different teams. So that was enjoyable, and then getting into junior hockey was a lot of fun, and then to college and a little bit of pro. But growing up in the Detroit area, there's a lot of hockey and a lot of really good players. So I love my time growing up playing youth hockey in Detroit.
Now, you played for a few iconic organizations. You played for Little Caesars. Did you play for the long term coaches there? Who did you play for when you were in Little Caesars?
So my dad actually coached me a lot of my youth. He coached my brother and I. My brother was a birth year '89, so he was a year older than me.
Okay.
And my dad coached his honey baked group all the way up through midgets, I think. And then he also coached me in our 90 group with Little Caesars. So very fortunate to have him as a coach, and that's why I got started with hockey. Was my dad's a hockey guy and my brother played, so we were a hockey family from the get go. So yeah, it was awesome being able to play for my dad and have a brother that played hockey as well. And then our mom and younger sister were extremely supportive. So it was a lot of fun growing up, but very busy.
Gotcha. You went to Victory Honda before you went back to high school. The Victory Honda experience, was that a Berkey experience? Did you play for Burke or did you play for somebody else?
Somebody else. So Sean Ortiz was my coach
Okay.
for the 16s. Berkey had the 18s, but I know Berkey pretty well. He's an awesome guy, and he's done a fantastic job with Victory Honda program. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. I love Berkey.
Iconic.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
when you get to know him a
yeah,
little bit. Uh,
absolutely.
so you go from there, and now your jump from now you played elite. Now, for those that don't know, Adam's extremely short. Always had to overcome the size issue. Playing 6'6". Come on, you can't be 6'8". Nobody wants a 6'6" player.
Right.
So when did the growth spurt happen? Were you coming out of midgets already? Up at that peak height.
I mean, I was never a big kid growing up. I think my big growth spurt was between my sophomore year of high school and then up until my senior year.
Okay.
So I had a really big growth spurt. I was average sized kid growing up, never the big kid that, I think I was like maybe 5'11", 5'10" my sophomore year, and then big growth spurt right around that U16 year when I played for Victory Honda, and then ended up being 6'6". So it was a big growth spurt.
Well, we're going to get back to that pattern, but I was reading the bio that they put online for you with Muskegon, and I was reading Coach Hamilton's comment, and this didn't make sense to me. He called you a stout player. Okay, what the stout in my mind is like a bulldog size guy. Stout. Now you're tall, lanky, strong, but that stout doesn't seem to come across as the word I'd use. Did he ever see you play, or had he met you in person before he made that comment?
Yeah, I had met him in person for sure. As far as I played against his son, one of my years in the East Coast League, and he was involved with Honey Baked organization, some of the older teams. So
Yeah, he
I'm not
was.
sure if he saw me play when I was young, or if it was just when I was playing against his son in the East Coast League. But yeah, I'm not sure the stout word.
Yeah, his son had a nice little run too. I think Tyler, was it son Tyler?
Trevor, yeah.
Trevor. You kind of went backwards. A lot of guys in the Detroit market, they'll play 1 or 2 years of high school, then they'll finish with the AAAs. They'll go in and do that to kind of make the leap, just because they get more games, more exposure, more tournaments on the road, more showcases. You went the opposite way. You went from Victory Honda back to Farmington. What made that decision? And of the 4 years you could have done it, Why was the choice to do it later, or did it kind of just naturally happen?
It kind of naturally happened because I couldn't make a U18 team.
No
So
kidding.
I would say I was just an average player growing up, and I was always focused on trying to make that next team. And I played U16 and didn't really have a whole lot of love for 18s, and had some buddies that were playing high school hockey. And at that point, college hockey, even really junior hockey, wasn't really on my radar. I was just trying to be the best I could be where I was, and that led me to playing some high school hockey and playing with some buddies from my hometown, and I loved my time. And then eventually did end up playing some junior hockey, but yeah, it was I didn't have a whole lot of love for U18, so that's why I ended up playing high school.
Now, once again, you don't follow the natural path. The natural path coming out of the Detroit market, the AAA teams, is null based, USHL based, maybe repeating some years and going prep somewhere. But you go into the Nojo. You go up and play in the Northern Ontario League, and you go all the way up to Sault Ste. Marie. How did you get there?
Both, I'd say they had a camp in the Brighton area, and my dad's like, you should, go check it out. Let's see if we can get you there. And I went there and tried out and ended up making the team. But for me, that league and that team was a perfect step that I needed to get my feet wet with junior hockey, and to develop as a player, and just get used to being away from home, living with billets, and being not over your head as far as playing time and all those sorts of things. So it was a perfect step for me, to move on to my next step of junior hockey. But it was a great league, and it was a great situation, and a really good team. So I'm thankful that I was able to find the Sioux as my home for that first year of junior.
So I've got a theory on development paths. I don't believe in late bloomers. I believe either you're a late grower, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or a late worker, meaning you finally decide to start putting some effort into your path. It sounds to me like you're a little bit of both in those categories. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the guys that put in the work, and aren't complaining or blaming other people or coaches or whatever the situation may be. Just put in the work, and your path is your path, and everyone's different. Not everyone can commit to a D1 school at 16.
You get up to the Sioux. By the way, it's actually where I saw Wayne Gretzky first play when I was a youth player up there in Billeting. I got a chance to see him play at like 16 years old, and it was, at the end of the night, he's got 7 points. I don't think I remember any of them. But
Yeah.
that's the hockey up there. Of course, that's the OHL version, not the
Right.
Nojo version. When did the switch click where you went, I got a chance at this. I can do this.
Honestly, I'm not even sure if it was at all throughout that year in the Sioux. I remember, I went to training camp and I was injured. I broke my ankle, so I was sidelined for the start of the year. So I remember sitting in the stands watching training camp happen in the first couple weeks of the regular season, not being able to play, and it was tough. But once I got healthy and started playing, ended up having an okay year. And I remember thinking like, okay, now I want to make the jump to the North American League. Like that's my goal, is to make that next jump to that junior league and to continue to develop that way. So I was just kind of focused on where I was and working hard and getting better. And if an opportunity came to advance myself to a higher league and it was the right fit, that was my goal.
Now, tell me the move. You move from the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. You get a chance to go to the USHL for a year. Indy Ice, I believe they were still Indy at the time.
Yep, yep.
Did you have an inclination that you were going to get a chance in the USHL? Were you drafted? How did you end up there?
So I had my brother's agent at the time had a relationship with Jeff Blashill, who was the coach in Indy. And after my year in the Sioux, I was fortunate enough to go skate with them for a little bit. So I went down there for a couple practices, and at this point, here's another curveball. I was a forward my whole life, and I go down there and first practice, I practice as a forward and think nothing of it. And it's obviously the jump is pretty significant from where I was to the USHL. And after that first practice, Jeff Blashill was like, "Have you ever played D?" And I said, "No, not really." So I practiced the next day as a defenseman and ended up getting drafted really late in the USHL draft and went to the camp in the summer and made the team. So I was really lucky to be able to go down there and skate with them, and then lucky enough to get drafted.
Now, hang on. You're a forward the whole time, and you go on a USHL visit to skate, and after one skate, Jeff puts you at D at a USHL level practice. That's amazing. That's amazing. And for those that aren't NHL fans, you just happen to be playing for a guy that ended up having an NHL run and still on it right now as far as coaching goes. That's not a bad gig. When do you start getting that feeling like I can do this?
Um, so I went down and when, as you know, they bring a lot of guys in for training camp and switching positions from forward to D. I remember in training camp, I think we had 11 D, and I was the 11th D. No D partner on the lineup sheet, and I was like, I have to just try to survive one day at a time. And that was sort of how it worked out, just one day at a time. I was just trying to work as hard as I could and make the adjustment to playing D and ends up making the final roster when there's cuts and I scratched the first little bit of the season and I get a game here and there. And then eventually kind of worked my way into a top six role. And it wasn't until around Christmas time where I started getting, a little bit of love from some colleges. So that transition phase, one to the USHL and two switching positions, was difficult. But the staff there with the whole staff they had with Coach Blashill was they must have saw something in me and they really worked with me on me learning the position. And I'm really very thankful that I had the opportunity to play there for that season.
So, Adam, back up a little bit. You talked a little bit about playing for your dad. Now, when you transfer, and you said your dad encouraged you to get the trout for the Sioux, but you get a chance to do the Sioux. You're away from home. Indy's still a little bit from the Detroit area. Talk about that family unit and the support you had, and moving to a different position. Did you lean on Dad a little bit to help you with that adjustment and his experience on coaching and teaching?
Yeah, for sure. It was nice, in the grand scheme of things that I think I was about 5 hours away in the Sioux and maybe a little bit over 4 in Indy. So they made the trip down a lot. So it was nice to be able to see them and to have their support at games. And at the time, my brother was at Notre Dame, so he was fairly close to where I was at in Indy. So yeah, it was nice to have their support and making the transition, from one league to the other with the position change. Definitely had to lean on the family for some support, and especially the tough times when I was scratched a little bit. So their support was very, very, very appreciated by me.
We're established in the USHL. Get me to where you ended up with, which is UMass. Not a traditional, once again, not a traditional Michigan kid school. You don't see many kids going to Hockey East out of the Michigan market. Not like you do other areas. I mean, it's Big Ten country. It's you might see some Atlantic schools, but not a typical school that you see a Michigan kid go to.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of familiarity with UMass. It was late in the season, and I believe the coach was at the game watching one of their committed players, and I think they lost a D to he turned pro unexpectedly, so they needed to bring somebody in. So started conversations with Red Gendron, who was the assistant at the time there. Went out for my visit, and I just fell in love with the place. It was awesome. The campus was unbelievable. Facilities, the staff. It just felt like a place that I could call home for 4 years, and I love my time there. I love the people that I met, and it was a great experience for me.
So Red was your conduit into the school, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's
I got a great Red story for you.
Let's
God
hear
bless
it.
his soul. I'm doing a level 4 or level 5 USA hockey. I'm speaking at this USA hockey event. I'm still a college coach at the time, uh, and they have me come in. I'm in New Jersey. I'm at Princeton. They're doing it this conference, and there's like 600, 800 coaches from all over the East Coast doing this, advanced USA hockey certification program. So I'm speaking on D zones, and I can't even remember what Red was speaking about, but they got this little conference room set up for the coaches, got some coffee and some donuts and stuff, and he's back there. And we started chatting a little bit. I hadn't met him before, and if anybody knows or knew him, character right off the bat, he's a character guy, and he's full of stories, and he's full of different things. So we talked and we chatted. I'm like, yeah, the guy knows his game, and I'm enjoying my time backstage with him. I get on and do my thing. I come off the stage. Now we're at least. I mean, I guess Princeton has their rink. We're not anywhere near a rink. We're at a conference hall. I can't remember if it was attached to a hotel or if it was part of the campus, but we're in an auditorium with a bunch of smaller breakout rooms. They do large speaking events, and then the guys would all do breakout rooms for different topics. So we're doing the large one, and I come off the stage after speaking. He's in skates, whistle, stick, gloves, and he clomps up. And as he's clomping up the stairs, he's taking pieces of paper. He doesn't have skate guards on. He's taking pieces of paper and setting them down in front of him all the way over to the middle of the stage where he's going to talk from. And it's like everything I thought about him, I had to rethink at that point, like, oh boy, okay, this is different, But he spoke to the whole group with his skates on, with his stick and gloves.
That's funny. He was definitely one of the best, and I think there's a lot of unbelievable Red stories out there, and certainly miss him.
Yeah, I think everybody does. Anybody that he touched, I think, feels the same way. So you get there, boy, some tough years.
My experience there was awesome, and some of the struggles that we went through. I try to turn them into a positive, and maybe use that experience now to help me to be a better coach.
You make your transition to pro after 4 years. Were you looking at pro ahead of time? Were you thinking down that road?
When I was in college, it was definitely on my radar. That was my goal, to try to really do this and make something out of this. But my 5 years playing pro were a lot of different experiences, and was able to play in some really cool spots and meet a lot of great people and play for some great coaches. So the 5 years pro, the experiences were awesome, and I'm grateful for that time playing.
There's got to be a character trait that you use or established in that locker room, that not your game performance, that's one thing, but for you to be able to walk into a locker room and stay in the lineup on 5 different teams, 6 different teams in the pro level. What are you relying on? What part of your personality makes it so you can fit in that locker room and get going at a faster pace?
Yeah, I think just being a person of high character and trying to be a good teammate, and a little bit of as you start to be a little bit of an older player, taking on some more leadership. Just being a good teammate just goes such a long way, and being authentic to who you are as a person, and not trying to be someone that you're not, whether you're a player or a coach. Just being your authentic self, and to care, and just to be a person of high character.
My son had a chance to play a half a season for you, and that's what locked him on to you as a coach, was the character and the ethics and the higher standards. He never mentioned your on ice capabilities. The respect all came from how he was treated as a player, how he was treated as a man, and that goes a long way. And I think that's already proven out by how fast your career is developing as a coach.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and I loved having your son Adam with us in Odessa for the half season. He's a phenomenal person, and a hell of a player. So
You're in the USHL now. You're dealing with the best players in the world now at the junior level. How is it different? And I know this is kind of unfair because you've been there, a couple weeks now. But in your opinion, how is it different at the USHL level?
I think it's a bit younger. I think the kids are really impressionable, and I think that's important to create the culture and the environment that's conducive for growing as a player and as a person. Not everyone is mature at the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, but we want to make sure that we're putting, the right culture in place and guiding them to mature and to develop their character as well as, them as a hockey player. So that's something that take a lot of pride in, and it's a lot, it takes, daily emphasis of hammering home like what our culture is and creating that environment that's conducive for developing.
What's the one area that you're going, boy, I got to be on my game in X area? What's that? What's that piece? What's the one that you're worried about on this transition?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just know the players very well at all and just creating that relationship and that trust. And I think that's something that just takes a little bit of time. And I think that's something that happens. I think that's a strength of mine. So I think just that process initially of getting to know them and them getting to know me, that's the part that I think will be just take a little bit of time. It's a part of the job that I love, and I'm looking forward to it.
First of all, I want to thank you, Adam. We spent 30, 40 minutes together. Muskegon should be excited about having you on their staff. You're going to do a great job there. Adam, thank you so much. I appreciate all your time, and great luck this year. You're going to have a blast, and I can't wait to see how this team develops with you on board.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate you having me on and enjoyed chatting with you.